What's up, guys? This is Jimmy and Alex bringing you the fishing report for this week. We're going to start off with the Rockfish. I know Alex has been seeing some stuff down south, so he's going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So let's talk about what's going on out here in the bay. For most of you guys fishing up here in the upper part of the bay, it's pretty much really hit or miss now. At this point, water temperatures are pretty much on the 40s, upper 40s. In some spots, you might get in the 50-degree mark, which that means most of these fish are going to be pretty sluggish. They will have limited windows when they feed. And for around here, if you're fishing anywhere in this Annapolis, Baltimore area, the Patapsco is going to be one area to pretty much like stay around, and trolling is probably going to be your better option at this point now. Trolling around the edges, anywhere from the key bridge out to the 7-foot knoll. Good concentration of fish. Now, we're not talking about like full blitz of fish out there. We're talking about you're going to get maybe 1 or 2 fish out there. Eastern Bay is one of those places where there's still some fish holding, but once again, same thing, nothing exciting. It's just going to be, you're going to be trolling around. We did see a couple reports, some bigger fish coming out of Eastern Bay, closer to pretty much the hill, right over there north of Poplar Island, and they were trolling tandems. So fish, I think it was like 48 inches. That was a couple days ago. So there is those random big fish that come up. Now, it's nothing consistent, but they're there. So you know what they say, if you're not out there, you won't know. Yeah. Now, as you move south, the most, I guess the more south you go, the more consistent it becomes. Chesapeake Beach, mouth of the Chop Tank, all those areas are still holding some fish, but the farther you go south, the better it's going to get. This is a typical time of the year where you want to go pretty much lunch from Breezy Point, Chop Tank, head south, 72A, Middle Grounds, Point Lookout, even into the Virginia borderline and past that. Most of these fish are going to be pretty much in the channel edges, and the more you go towards Virginia, the more you're going to find some of those bigger fish. Now, it's a long run for some people. If you can trail it closer to down there, it'll be the better option instead of running X amount of miles. But talking about that, most of the guys down there are still jigging, and you can do both jig and troll. 1.5 ounce to 1 ounce jigs with your bigger baits, 7-inch paddle tails, or as you can see, those Bass Assassin straight tails, and then just kind of let them drop to the bottom or suspended fish and just jig them up. The Cape Trout fleet down there are starting to pick up big fish now, so those are the same fish that you're gonna hopefully get into as they work their way north. Now, unfortunately, it's been a couple years since we've seen them come this far north, but down in Cape Charles, if you're heading that way, drifting eels and trolling down there, it's pretty much on right now. Nothing super exciting like years past, but the big fish are there. So first wave of big fish showed up. We'll see how long that lasts. Trolling wise, for anywhere in the area now, 9-inch shads, that's what you want to have there. This is a classic, chartreuse white forearm. Put this down deep and troll around and let's see what happens. But that will be your your better option. We're expecting a warm up here in the next 2 days, so let's see what happens with that, and should get fishing probably going. It's going to be raining. Yes, it's going to be, I'm not sure if it's going to be super windy or not, but the next 2 days should be good fishing. You know what they say, fair weather, bad fishing, bad weather, good fishing. So be safe out there and get out there. So now let's talk about some pickerel fishing going on around the creeks here. Jimmy, I know you've been out a couple times, so tell us a little bit about what's going on out here.
So for right now, it seems like the most productive rivers have been the Severn and Patapsco. For some reason, no one's really on the Magathy, but I know there are a ton of good pickerel in there. It just hasn't really been fished that much this year. As far as baits, typical 4-inch paddle tails, or you can also do a slip bobber with a minnow underneath. Typically 3 or 4-inch baits. We've been messing around with little tailspins and stuff like that, shoving them in the bellies, trying to get a little bit of extra flash. These Chinlocks hooks are great if you're running weedless around the grass or anything. And you can also, they leave room, so you can shove one of these underneath in the belly once you get them rigged up. Most of your, for some reason, we've kind of noticed that if you would just want to catch a big pickerel or have your best chance at catching a trophy or a big pickerel, for some reason, just a minnow under a bobber seems to produce the best for that. Besides that, you can also, there's been some people catching crappie, holding deep. They're using just stuff like these bustin' bait stingers on a light jig head. You can fish them tandems, you can fish them just singles. But there are some people that have been getting into the crappie and a couple other of the panfish. They're just holding a little bit deeper, so it's a little bit harder to find. But once you do, it's normally going to be a pocket. You can just kind of cast back in and catch a good amount of them in the same area.
Right. Yeah, I was out there pretty much, I think, a couple days ago, probably 4 or 5 days ago, last week I should say. Botkin was pretty productive. Like you said, tides have been weird,
Yes.
so keep in mind on that, especially out there. When the tides go super low, remember, obviously those fish will pull out into deeper water. As the tides come in, then you can start focusing more into the shoreline structure. A couple tips I can give you: if the tide's really going out, find deeper water, 4, 5, 6 foot of water, fish around the docks, throw some stuff like that. Even like jerk baits and whatnot will work pretty well. And you know, other than that, yellow perch. I've seen some guys catching some yellow perch pretty much in the upper parts of the Magothy, and some of them in the Severn, but it's more consistent in the Magothy now. They're not like really any keepers, but they're starting to move up. So that's one way to, you know, kind of kill time and go out there and catch some good fish for dinner if you can find the keepers. Eastern Shore, like you said, crappie and all that's pretty productive right now. This is the time to go out there and catch some of those fish in those mill ponds. Let's go over pretty much to ocean front, Ocean City, Delaware, Chesapeake. If you're fishing pretty much at the Route 50 bridge, talk fishing. That's going to be, you know, like the way to go. And we have some of these little tog jigs right here. Get some green crab, sand fleas, any kind of crab on there. Put them down to pilings, and you'll get some tog pretty much over there. If you're on the surf side, I mean, you have done it a lot. This is a time of the year to get some of these plugs and start casting away on the beach if the weather's kind of fair and whatnot. Especially now that the fish from up north are making their way down, and we're starting to get reports out of South Jersey of more consistency with some of those migratory fish. We can only wait and hope they make it down this way. If you're still trolling out there, I know some guys in Delaware were trolling out in the 3 mile zone for rockfish. The same umbrella we're using in the bay is the same thing you're going to use out there with extra weight, since you're going to be fishing deeper. And hopefully you can, you know, get some of those bigger stripers moving down the coast. Last thing I saw was a couple guys down in Chesapeake were producing some keeper stripers off the surf, and even some still slot reds. Like they were still catching some, which is weird. But once again, we got some warm weather, some tricky weather. Get out there, fish, send us your pictures, send us your reports, and have a good one out there.